All right, we're back. We're back. I was gonna be able to do this with the youngster being asleep, but youngster let me know, Daddy, nah, put me on camera. But anyway, as I've started each one of these videos off, there's nothing I can say that has not already been said, right? But I will say differently this particular week. I did have the opportunity to chop it up with the fellas. Shout out to South Coast Kane, Cuban, Studio One, and the other guests that jumped on the panel. We had a great discussion, right? And the thing that dawned on me and what I really like about these particular panels is because I noticed that individuals watch the games and pick up different things, right? They look at things differently in terms of like what they're watching the game for. Obviously, we're watching the game for a victory, but some are focused on one thing over the other, right? Some people may be focused on the offensive line, some people may be focused on the defensive line, secondary, linebackers, quarterback, running backs, whatever. Some, whatever it is, right? So we had a spirited conversation, right? I think we all left with a kind of a better understanding of the standpoints that we have, right? But anyway, so one of the conversations that was brought up, it was brought up by I can't remember who initiated the question, right? But the question was, well, and I got obviously it's hypothetically speaking, right? If Cam wasn't here, what would our record be with Emory? And so initially, when I got that question, it came on the heels of another discussion that we were having prior to that, which kind of which brought me to the conclusion that I drew, right? Which was Cam Ward is covering up a lot of things for us offensively. Obviously, most notably our offensive line, our run game kind of not being as consistent, right? More so, the yards have come in the second half where we've just pretty much been able to just out talent, the opposition, right? Obviously, Jordan Lau with the huge run against, USF, just around the left side and shows how fast he is. Yeah, Jordan Lau. I guess she likes Jordan Lau, so I guess I'll get her a Jordan Lau jersey or something like that. You like Jordan Lau? Hmm? She don't want to say no now. Anyway, so Uh, but it brought me to a thought. And the thought was the reason we wouldn't be undefeated if Emory was the quarterback is because Cam Ward makes about 2 to 3 plays at minimum a game that I feel, I'm comfortable with saying that we have not seen a quarterback make in the past 20 years. Maybe in the past 30. Like he makes 2 to 3 plays a game that we have not seen from a quarterback in the last 30 plus years of our program. Straight up. And he makes two or three of those a game. Maybe those guys make one of those plays a game, but he's making at minimum two or three of those plays a game. And the reason that to me this is so significant is because while games are not won and lost, like in totality, games are not won and lost in totality based on 2 to 3 plays. But from a fan perspective, 2 to 3 plays are what decide the game. And so I feel like if we look at those 2 to 3 plays that Cam Ward makes every single game, we can look at it and say those 2 to 3 plays a game definitely had a bearing on the box score of this game, as well as a major reason why we won these particular games, right? And so that was my point, right? And I feel like he's going to continue to make those same 2 to 3 plays every game, simply because I just feel like it's geared towards him, man. Right? Coaching staff made their statements, in the off season and leading up into fall camp, like, hey, look, Cam Ward has full autonomy in his offense. He can check in and out of plays and stuff like that. And so that was another thing that I brought up was that if a quarterback is going to have that much power, that much responsibility, then it's one of those situations because I see some people kind of, like, oh, well, Dawson, why are you doing this? And it's like, well, how much of this is Dawson and how much of this is maybe Cam Ward seeing something to check out of a play? And how much of it is we want to run the ball more, but maybe you gotta calm down, sweetie. You gotta calm down. And how much of it is maybe Cam Ward saying, hey, look, yeah, we can run the ball here, but I see a matchup. so I'm gonna throw it. You know what I'm saying? So everything that's looked at as a positive is not always going to be a positive in every situation. Not necessarily saying it's a negative, but it's not always going to heed the results that individuals feel like they should heed, right? But again, we're undefeated. You know what I'm saying? We're undefeated. Now, this past week we didn't like number 2 team in the country. I must say that this is fluid, very fluid, very fluid. But kudos to Virginia Tech, man, for not laying down, for making this an entertaining game down to the very last play, which I'm going to talk about because I think I share somewhat of an opinion that I know the majority don't have, right? I know that. But it made me think about how the rivalry once was. It was great. It was a great rivalry, right? I still remember going back to watching D'Angelo Hall. I think it was the '03 season where D'Angelo Hall basically said, check this out. Them guys that made Miami, the scary place that it was, they not there no more. Yeah. I don't fear these new guys. They gonna have to show me. Right? That's D'Angelo Hall, right? And Virginia Tech proceeded to go out there and win the game that year. It was either '03, '04. It was one of those years, right? But I remember watching it because I was at the truck stop probably last year, and I was like, I just want to watch some old stuff. I remember watching it like, dang, man, I know D'Angelo Hall. I know D'Angelo Hall was a talker, but I know D'Angelo Hall had said nothing like that, right? And Virginia Tech is one of those programs. Calm down, Buki. It's one of those programs. Obviously, with me being a fan of Miami, was a program that I got very familiar with. Now I know most people, probably the majority of people, favor Virginia Tech players, probably Michael Vick, right? But my favorite player is Macho Harris. Loved Macho Harris at Virginia Tech, right? And obviously, again, this is early on in my college football fandom. So obviously, the thing that drew me to Macho Harris, not just because he was a good player, but it's like his name is Macho. He wasn't very big either. He wasn't one of those Virginia Tech corners that we have kind of grown accustomed to. You know what I'm saying? Like even like a D'Angelo Hall who was a taller guy. Like Macho was like maybe 5'9", 5'10", but his name was Macho Harris. Like return punts and all that. Got drafted by the Eagles. Very good player, Virginia Tech. My absolute favorite Virginia Tech player of all time, Macho Harris. Right. But it was good to see the rivalry come back because obviously with the way things are shaking right now, this is going to be the only rivalry game that we play this year that actually looks like something because we've run Florida off the field. Florida State is looking like I don't know what they're looking like. Yeah, mama, you don't know what Florida State looking like, right? So this will probably be the only. This is like it's going to be the only rivalry game that we play this year that actually looks like a rivalry game. Whereas Florida looked like they didn't need to be on the field with us. Florida State, they may be prideful for maybe a quarter, but early indications, man, it's gonna look like how we beat them people the COVID year, 2020, like just run them completely off the field. Maybe even be worse. You know what I'm saying? Might even be worse. So it was good to see that, right? But to be honest, I wasn't expecting Virginia Tech to play that well. I watched Virginia Tech play this year, but again, sometimes I myself get caught up in fandom, where I take some like logic away from it, and I just say, all right, well, from my fan eyes, this is not supposed to be a game because again, I watched Virginia Tech play this year. I watched them, and it's like I didn't see this. Now, obviously, calm down, mama. I've watched Virginia Tech this year because I got a fantasy team, and so Tootin, their running back, I got him on my fantasy, so I'm like, I gotta watch it, make sure you give me some points because some bread on the line at the end of the year. I gotta get that. Gotta get that. But they played a great game, and it brought me back to a statement that I hear a lot of Cane fans say, right? And so I was like, okay, well, let me put this out here, right? Anybody in the comments, y'all are welcome to answer this particular question because I may be a little bit off base. The statement is everybody plays their best game against Miami. Everyone's Super Bowl is playing against Miami. And so I stopped and I thought for a second, and I said, "Wait a minute, hold up. Let's stop for a second. Let's time out. if the mindset has been for the past 20 some odd years, coaching has been the issue, not players, not talent, even though that particular talking point has gone in a direction that I wouldn't have never guessed it went, but I'm not gonna bother with that. But could it have been the fact that we walked into all of those games where players played better at a coaching deficiency? And that simply the players look like the other team look like they played better only because they had the better coaching staff. Could that be the case? Very well could be. But y'all let me know. You know what I'm saying? Because two things can be true at the same time. It is. But I just feel like maybe we just went into these games with an inferior coaching prowess, and we didn't jump out early enough with our talent to shine on them. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I look at it, right? But again, like I said, kudos to Virginia Tech, man. They played a tough game. Scored the most points that have been scored on us this particular year. Again, brought the game all the way down to the last play. Even though early in the game, most people kind of look at that phantom holding call on Bell where it wasn't a hold, right? It wasn't a hold. And me personally, I don't like to to jump out of the chair about certain calls, right? Because I know from a fan perspective, we're only looking at calls that go against our team. We're not looking at calls that our team or penalties our team may have committed. Because the old saying is it's holding on every play. It's just up to the referees to decide whether or not they want to call it. Now, it could be a situation of where it's like, hey, we missed this one. We're calling on the wrong number, right? Maybe Bell wasn't holding, but maybe left guard was. Maybe Carpenter was. Maybe Inez Cooper was. Maybe Francis Marinoa was, right? But somebody was holding. And we may have assigned it to the wrong person. Because even in certain games, you'll see the referees go and say, all right, it's holding on this particular player. And then they'll be like, no, it's not that player, it's this player over here. This player wasn't even in the game. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I look at it, right? Because maybe if I didn't think about it that way, maybe I would have been jumping up, jumping through the roof about that. And obviously because we know what ended up happening after that particular, play took the touchdown off the board. So as Canes fans, we're looking around and we have to say, hopefully this is Cam Ward's worst game of the season, right? 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions that were, I guess this is going to be an adjective, TVD-esque, right? Both of them going to both of them going to Xavier Restrepo. I remember having a discussion last year with some people on the message board. Shout out to my dog Birdstone because I told him, I said, man, I got off that message board because I just couldn't deal with it. Because I remember last year they were talking about the aspect that the other receivers aside from Xavier Restrepo were running the wrong routes. And so that was what TVD's interceptions were being attributed to. That those stops changed immediately. Yeah. That's why I don't respect these people because they just throw ish up against the wall and hope that it sticks. But anyway, that's not good interceptions, right? One of them, the DB just read. He just like it was intended for him. Then the second one is a pass that we've seen Xavier Restrepo catch, jumping in the air, turning around in a 180, reaching back for the ball, catching it. But Virginia Tech like, nah, not today. You know what I mean? And then obviously the fumble, right? So his first 3 turnover game of his Miami career. Hopefully his last 3 turnover game, right? But I take something away from what Coach Cristobal said when they asked him about it, and he was like, well, there were some things that were there in previous weeks that weren't there tonight. So it made me stop and think for a second where it's like, you have sometimes quarterbacks read plays, or base a decision pre-snap on a particular an alignment or something that they think that they see, right? And that could have very well been the case. Now again, I'm on record saying that Cam Ward, if you make a mistake, he's gonna make you pay. I still stand by that. He's gonna make you pay. So it's just gonna be interesting moving forward to see whether or not them overly jumping on those plays What did they leave open on the other side, or what did they leave open somewhere else? Because I know Cam Ward, he's gonna find it. So I don't not think he's not gonna find it. But it is going to be interesting to see, you know, how he bounces back from this. Obviously, we won the game, but again, that's not the type of performance that he wants to have. You know what I mean? But again, like I said, kudos to Virginia Tech, right? And this is one of the things I did say on South Coast because I want you to go back. I want y'all to go back and watch it. I know it's a week old, almost a week old at this point. There was some good dialogue over there, man. It really was. Because I don't want to make this video too long. But one of the things that I brought up was the fact that the new rule that the NCAA put out, where you could essentially have unlimited coaches, right? And something how it kind of coincides with like the NCAA game, where in your program building, you could pick what type of archetype you wanted your coach to have. Did you want him to be X's and O's, program builder, or recruiter, right? And so one of the things that I took away from it is like, depending on the head coach's forte, whether he's a CEO, whether he's a recruiter, whether he's an X's and O guy, more than likely he's going to put a staff around him that mirrors his outlook or what he wants his program to look like. And so the reason I bring it up and the reason I say that is because we know, and kind of looking at some of the hires that we made, a lot of these hires to me look like they're more kind of like recruiting hires to help, build and cultivate relationships. Not saying the guys can't be X's and O's guys, not saying that by any stretch, right? But there are some guys that are better on a chalkboard than others. And there are some guys that are much better in the living room than others, right? And so the reason I bring this up is, to me, it's like it's going to be interesting to kind of see the coaches, the staff, the teams that we play moving forward, where recruiting may not be the prowess, may not be at the top of their best traits, to kind of see how they attack our team. Because Virginia Tech attack weaknesses that we had on defense that we maybe didn't know that we had, right? They did some things defensively that kind of obviously led to us having 3 turnovers. Now again, I will say this though, right? Virginia Tech had a good defense last year. Brent Fry, good defensive coordinator, right? So I'm not going to just sit here and act as if it was just by sheer luck that they were able to do some of the things that they did, because it's not. Like, Brent Fry is a good defensive coordinator. Virginia Tech always has a pretty good defense. May not have the best recruiting guys, but they developed the heck out of guys. And I feel like they matched up well against us, right? They had some tall corners. So the advantage that maybe a Sam Brown and Isaiah Horton had in terms of maybe some jump ball situations and things like that, or maybe being more physical than the guy guarding them, they didn't have those against Virginia Tech, because Virginia Tech has big physical corners as well, and they can run. But in conclusion, man, we're gonna get down to the last play, and this is my take on it that probably is not as popular. I brought this up when I was talking to Truck and Chubby on our show last Saturday. Excuse me, when we brought it up. And I told him I was watching the LSU game from the previous week, right? Watching LSU because Kyron and Lacey are one of my fantasy teams. And Garrett Nussmeier threw the ball to Kyron and Lacey. Kyron Lacey catches the ball, gets 1 foot in bounds, falls to the ground, and loses control of the ball. So by definition, he did not survive the ground, right? So they went to the replay booth, and I said, and I'm sitting up here like, it's almost time for me to head to work. I'm sitting here watching that because I'm like, I need this catch to stand because I need these points. Like, I don't gamble, but like, this is a gamble I feel like I have a pretty good opportunity to win some stuff, right? So I'm like, I need him to catch. I need this play to be upheld. So they go to the replay booth, and again, like I said, by letter of the law, he did not survive the ground. So they go to the replay booth, they come back, and they say ruling on the field is overturned. It's a catch. I'm like, all right, cool. I need that, so I can head to work now. So when you look at the play in the end zone, they throw the ball to the Virginia Tech player, right? He clearly catches the ball to me up high. He clearly has his hands on the ball. he's coming down, and I feel like he may have gotten 1 foot down, right? But then after that, he loses the ball. He's landing on top of one of his teammates, and then there's a Miami player that touches the ball, so that deems it to be an incomplete pass. But when I'm looking at it from the vantage point of, I feel like he had somewhat a little possession up here, a foot down, and then after that, mayhem, right? At the conclusion of it, Miami player running out of the pile with the ball, on the field, they rule a touchdown. They clear the field, all that good stuff like that. So they go do a replay review, and then they say player did not have full possession of the ball. And so this is my beef, right? And I said this. Bear with me for 1 second. Yeah. Football has made what a catch is the most difficult thing to assess, probably in the history of football. Because think about this for a second. I mean, like, we're talking about what is considered a catch. Like, that's an actual question. Like, I mean, to me, that's the equivalent of asking a question of, what is a pass? What is a run? What is a juke? What is a hurdle? What is a tackle? Like, you don't ask those type of questions. But for some reason, we are in 2024, and the question is, what is a catch? What do you mean, what is a catch? I catch the ball, I get a foot down, I should be able to just throw the ball in the doggone, throw the ball out of bounds. I've caught the ball, I have a foot down, but then he has to establish possession, he has to make a football move, he got to do all this, and I'm like, why is this so hard? Now again, maybe some Kane fan maybe say, man, Shy, you tripping, man? Like, bro didn't catch the ball. Did you look at the replay? No, I'm talking about at the top of it all. He clearly, those are his hands up there. He clearly, the ball's in his hands, comes down, and as he's probably bringing the ball down, it gets knocked out. But I can clearly know that, look, there's a foot down in the end zone. And then after that, but he doesn't fully establish possession. Right? So I understand it. But it's like, you don't know what a catch is. Like, you can have an idea of what a catch is. It's just like us last year with, well, what is a safety? Against Florida State, oh, well, the player was moving forward and our player was pulling backwards. So, and then he's heading up, and then like the nose of the ball is out of the end zone, so it's not a safety. And then you got like a touchdown. Like, a player's body doesn't even have to cross the touchdown. Like, oh, if the nose of the ball, think about this for a second. If the nose of the ball crosses the plane, it's a touchdown. It doesn't have to be the whole ball, just the nose, like the nose. So to me, it's like, that's not a touchdown. To me, a touchdown is a player getting the ball, you running across the goal line with the ball, full ball, pause, and your full body going into the end zone. To me, that's a touchdown. Not you Reggie Bushing that thing from 5 yards out and sticking the ball over there and letting it cross the plane while your body is technically out of bounds, but you haven't touched out of bounds, but your body is not on the field of play. Right? So, but I mean, obviously that's, like I said, I'm glad the referees did not uphold the play, because obviously he did not maintain possession of the ball. I agree with that aspect, but I do feel like he caught the ball. I do feel that way. He just didn't finish he didn't finish the catch, which, again, man, it's 2024, man. Like, and I said on the show with Truck, and I said at this particular point, NCAA, y'all need to have while y'all are worried about going to Congress to establish some guidelines for NIL, y'all need to hire a third party. They need to come in for however many hours or however many days they need, watch footage, and figure out what y'all have consistently labeled. And the NFL didn't do the same thing, all the way down to Pee Wee. Establish what have they consistently called a catch, and let that be what it is. There should not be a review for a catch. Like I mean like a catch that's not out of bounds. Like if it's a situation where like I need to review to see if he was in bounds, cool. But if we're just talking about just like, oh, we need to review if he caught the ball, like if he survived the ground, because it's like it's confusing because it's like, oh, well, the ground can't cause a fumble, but the ground can cause an incomplete pass. I don't get it. But anyway, man, onward to Cal. I don't know what to make. I don't know what to make of them. They lost to Florida State, but then they beat Auburn. So, but again, this transit to property thing, it doesn't work. This triangle theory in sports, it just does not work, right? So we won't know what Cal will be until we get out there, right? But obviously we have to play better. You know, some of Ruben Bain is supposed to be back, and that was one of the things that I said on South Coast Show. I said Tyler Berry needs Ruben Bain back in the worst way. Elijah Austin is playing well. Malik Bryant, one of my favorite signees from his recruiting class, made a huge play on the fake punt. Well, the fake field goal, right? Huge play. Because if he doesn't make that play, that could have been a touchdown, right? But we need Ruben Bain back because obviously Ruben Bain is much better than the wins over replacement. But he's coming back, right? And this video is longer than what I wanted to make it, but it is what it is, man. But anyway, man, like, share, subscribe, comment, and again, answer the question. Y'all feel like Cam Ward is taking on a much larger book of like he's covered up a lot of things? And then also another question. Talk about David Martinez, right? Is David Martinez much better being a running back out of just the single back formation instead of the shotgun? Because I feel like he's not getting a fair shake in some of these things, right? Again, I'm not one of the guys that criticizes the players. I try to look at, okay, what could be the issue? And I think maybe the issue is he's not used to primarily getting the ball out of the shotgun. It's not his cup of tea. Obviously, I don't blame him. I'm not following Jonathan Smith and Aiden Childs up at Michigan State. I'm not doing that. I'm not. You know what I mean? But it does bring up an interesting conversation. You know, shout out to my dog QB, because my dog QB, he went out and said, look, just on-field production, it looks like A.J. Allen should be the number one, Jordan Lyle should be number two, and you figure it out between Chris Johnson, Mark Fletcher, and David Martinez. Which I'm sure there'll be an interesting discussion to have. But anyway, man, y'all like, share, subscribe, comment, and what do y'all think should be the running back hierarchy? Because we got a lot of money tied up in two guys. A lot of money tied up in. But anyway, man, as always, man, like, share, subscribe, comment. And as always, it's all about the you, baby. I'm out.